Secret of the Mimic is about to be the darkest FNAF game we've gotten in years. Also, this is equally important, Dawko showed Scott Cawthon Jackie's box on his live stream, and this is how he reacted to it. This trailer answers every question from the Help Wanted 2 update, like what this mysterious building is, and it gives us our first good look at 15 new characters, as well as setting up a clear premise for the story of the game. In the Help Wanted 2 update, we got this picture of a storefront with the letters MCM. Here's the description of Steel Wool Studios' Secret of the Mimic trailer on their YouTube channel. In Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic, navigate the shadowy costume manor and uncover the secrets of Edwin Murray's unfinished invention, the elusive and menacing Mimic animatronic. First of all, Edwin Murray's name is officially canon, Jackie's box is officially canon, let's go, but also costume manor is capitalized, meaning this goofy looking building, MCM, is Murray's costume manor, and it's an officially licensed Fazbear Entertainment property and attraction. The trailer opens with a Fazbear Entertainment van driving up on a 4-lane highway to the entrance to the warehouse. In the book, David got hit by a van on the 4-lane highway that's right next to the factory. I'm not saying this is the van that hit David, but it's showing us a van on a 4-lane highway right by the warehouse, so it's probably the spot where David got hit. A very familiar voice narrates over this scene.
So let me explain the situation. One of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse.
That's right, it's Hand Unit in the year 1979. We'll get to the implications of him being here later. For now, I want to talk about this first scene in the warehouse. In this one room, we have a clown dog animatronic, a prop version of this terrifying bee, a little mole prop I'm going to call Murray the Mole, Sharpay the dog, that goose that I hate, a blue hedgehog, the frogs from that PAX poster, a bigger version of Murray, and an unwithered version of the elephant mascot from Ruin. It looks like there are two different mascot types in this game, which I'm going to call the carnies and the miscellaneous mascots. So far, the clown dog, the jester, and the elephant are all carnies, and Sharpay, the mole, and the rest are miscellaneous mascots. We'll add to these two groups as we go through the trailer.
Your job is simple. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us. It's a kind of prototype endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume and become any character.
Here, Hand Unit tells us the basic premise of the game. The Mimic technology is very valuable to Fazbear Entertainment, so they're sending someone over to retrieve it. He also tells us that the Mimic is going to be dangerous in the most Fazbear Entertainment way possible.
We suspect it may be malfunctioning, so just be aware of the slim but non-zero chance that you could sustain significant injuries while attempting to retrieve it.
This dialogue brings up a few theories and lore questions that I'll get to at the end of the video. During the dialogue, we get our first look at Jackie in action. With her party hat and faceplates, she fits right in with the Carney crew. Now let's talk about this office. First of all, it has a Fredbear's Family Diner pizza box sitting on the couch. Sadly, we can't get a good look at the logo, but it has to be Fredbear's because it's the only Fazbear pizza in operation at the moment. We also have a corkboard with drawings made by children, and only one child would have a worker pinning up their drawings in their office. These are almost definitely drawings by David, making this Edwin's office. It has a clock with 12 a.m. on it, so there will probably be a night where we have to spot the Mimic on these monitors while it hides in different suits. This also makes me think that this game will be like Sister Location, where we do different types of things each night for 5 nights.
We fully expect the retrieval process to go smoothly and without incident, but just in case, we suggest you get your affairs in order before arriving.
First of all, those eyes look nothing like the eyes from the Mimic in Ruin. In the Tales from the Pizzaplex epilogues, it says that the Mimic at the Pizzaplex has a head that looks newer than its body. So I'm assuming this is what the original Mimic's head looked like before it got replaced. Also, it's hiding in a blue mushroom costume. We're gonna add him to the miscellaneous mascots. Also, in the book, the Mimic kills a guy while wearing a pink version of this mushroom costume. Oh, hey, look, it's our buddy the elephant. Hold on. Zoom in a little bit. Oh, that's a human hand. Oh, the Mimic is killing people and stuffing them in the mascot suits. Okay. This is the first time in the FNAF franchise we've ever seen a 3D rendered human corpse up close. This also means that we aren't the first Fazbear crew members sent here to retrieve the Mimic. Others have tried and failed before us.
Back to work.
These are two scenes from the demo that we've already heard about, but now we can get a good look at Mailbot and this yellow elephant head. I'm not sure if this means that it's a Springlock suit, but it's still interesting. Golden Elephant is real. Okay, a clip of the mushroom guy walking, 2 more sightings of the bee, looks like something from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, some mysterious feet on the ceiling. Okay, and then we load a Faz wrench looking thing into a terminal that shows us Helper. So Helpy as a digital assistant has been around since forever pretty much. The terminal that we're looking at is called the Show Sub Terminal, and next to it, it has a little post-it note saying out of order. It also has the option to reset welcome show, which means we're going to be messing around with animatronic show routines in this game.
Responsible for damage to property or person. Thank you for being a valued member of the Fazbear team.
The first scene shows us standing in a workroom with this nurse-looking character with an oxygen tank for some reason running towards us. Add her to the Carney crew, and then remember in Help Wanted 2 in the Helpy Repair minigame, the subtitles call the voice that talks to us Carnival Nurse.
Medical attention begins in 3, 2, 1.
This might be our carnival nurse. On the table next to her, there's a little mole head, but someone added a mustache to it. In the book, Edwin Murray's main characteristic is his full sandy brown mustache. So there's my evidence for this mole being called Murray the Mole. The next scene shows us throwing a little wind-up rat into a room full of stuff, with one of the offices in the middle of it. You might have missed it, but on the left side of the room, there's a green gator cutout who looks suspiciously like a country version of Monty Gator. And on the right side of the room, there's a really creepy looking Chef Pig animatronic. They're definitely going in miscellaneous mascots. And then the trailer ends with this Music Man looking abomination breaking through the ceiling, swinging down and attacking us. At first glance, the inside of his mouth looked like the Squidward killing machine from SpongeBob, but Cyazine on Twitter pointed out that it's actually one of the inner workings of a music box. He has a classic curly white-haired wig and big trumpet things coming out of his head. But what I want to talk about is what makes up his body, because the premise of this thing is terrifying. He looks like some kind of big stationary carnival prop, except he has doors inside of himself that open up to reveal a bunch of little arms. So just imagine this big building of an animatronic with doors that open up to let arms out, suddenly getting up and walking towards you. That would be terrifying, and I think it's going to be terrifying in the game. I think we all know what group he belongs in. And then at the very end of the trailer, for exactly one frame, we see Tiger laying on the floor with a body next to him. But right above Tiger is what looks to be tiles. This image is actually rotated 90 degrees to the right. If you rotate it 90 degrees to the left, you can see that this is actually a body hanging next to Tiger. In the book, there's a scene where the crew finds a corpse hanging from a clothes rack speared through with a clothes hanger. It looks like we're getting that scene in the game. So that's the entire trailer. Now let's talk hand unit and other theories. He sounds like a real person here for the first time ever, and he's the one who gives us our assignment to search the facility. This means that he was a somewhat high up Fazbear employee in the old days, and they ended up using his voice for the automated voice of Fazbear Entertainment in the years going forward. In the book, the supervisor who sends the first two teams to the factory was a balding man with a beer belly named Ron. He tells them to just get in there and clean up the mess. Make repairs, get it handled. Ron also vaguely warns them about the conditions of the factory, like Human Hand Unit does here. So we've got a potential name and description for the guy who voiced Hand Unit in universe. Now let's look into what he says in the trailer.
It's a kind of prototype endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume and become any character.
This is really odd because in the book, Edwin didn't design the Mimic for Fazbear. He designed it to copy and play with David to keep him occupied so he could have more time to work. He never planned on selling it to Fazbear. The Mimic only gained the ability to morph into any suit and mimic voices after Fazbear got their hands on it and upgraded it. So the game is taking a different approach from the book, or Fazbear found out about the Mimic and is lying to us. I'm not sure how they would have found out about the Mimic if no worker has survived coming to this factory, but it is possible because there's some evidence in the books that Edwin stayed at the factory for a bit longer after beating up the Mimic. So he could have had the idea to sell the Mimic to Fazbear and told them about it. This brings up the question of whether or not this game is following the book lore. Murray's costume manner was not a thing in the books, and the Mimic in the trailer seems to behave more like the Fazbear Entertainment mimics that came later on in the books. But those are things that can be explained away, so for now, they're going by Tales games. Now it's time for Tiger. This thing was in the books, sort of, just not like this. This should not be here, yet here it is. In the book, David's favorite toy was his white tiger plush, named Tiger. He carried it everywhere he went. After Edwin made the Mimic, David and the Mimic created a makeshift tiger plush out of lace, and the Mimic carried it around everywhere. Edwin also carved a big wooden white tiger head above David's bed. There was definitely not a Fazbear Entertainment white tiger mascot costume, but it is possible that if Edwin stayed at the factory for a few months after beating up the Mimic, that he made this costume while he was still consumed by grief. It's also possible that after Edwin disappeared, the Mimic made this costume on its own in memory of David. The Mimic watched Edwin build animatronics based on costumes, so maybe that helped it learn how to make its own fursuit. Regardless, Tiger is the Golden Freddy of this game. The trailer covers it in shadow in every shot, and it gets the only hidden frame in the trailer, which also happens to be the most disturbing frame in the trailer. This suit is probably what the Mimic considers to be its truest form, since it's so connected to its memories with David. It'll probably be the costume the Mimic wears for the final boss battle. It would be tragic and terrifying if the Mimic pulls an innard and starts speaking in David's voice in this final boss battle. It could even swap between Edwin and David's voices, maybe repeating Edwin's cries of grief for his son when you manage to capture it. Because that's the other thing, we aren't going to destroy the Mimic. We know it's going to come back later. The van we drive to the facility in the beginning is the same van we saw drive away with the Mexis machine in the Help Wanted 2 update. In John FNAF's interview with J-Top, he specifically says that the Mexis machine was designed to look old. So the game might end with us installing Mexis, which allows us to contain the Mimic in some way, allowing Fazbear to get their hands on its technology. And that's the secret of the Mimic, or something. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and consider subscribing, because I already have another fun Mimic video on the way. It'll be a lot more meta than this one. I've been Jackie the Night Guard, and just remember to always have fun, 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 fun!